good. Shauna, this is such an exciting time. This long time awaited. Hold that book up and brag about it.
Here is the book. Oh my goodness.
Congratulations.
Yay.
I'm over the moon, you guys. You made this happen. My picture's on the back.
This is such an awesome time. I'm Becky Norwood. This is Natalie McQueen. We're with Spotlight Publishing. This is our newest author, Shauna Marie MacDonald, and her book. Let's talk about the C word. And my brain just went.
How cancer gave more than it took.
Cancer gave more than it took. The inspirational stories, the wisdom behind it, in the writing of this book, is absolutely fabulous. And it doesn't mean you have to have cancer to read this book, because mindset all the way across is just really, really cool. So what's it feel like? You're already number 2, 3, and 4 in Canada. And you're trailing a little bit behind in the US, but I know you're going to get there because we have a lot of people buying, and so do you. Mm-hmm. And you have a launch party tonight. So
I do.
Tell us what all this feels like.
Well, what is this like? It's surreal, because when we first started this journey, it was long past when I had first started this journey. And a lot of things went on in between, kind of health issues for me. But you guys, you picked me up, you carried me, you dusted me off, you smacked me around when I needed a little bit.
Not too hard.
Not at all. Not at all. It was such an interesting thing, because I thought I was ready. I thought I was doing this. And I could have never done this alone.
It's a lot of work.
It's the amount of work that you guys did, the amount of work that I did. It was such a team effort.
Yeah, well,
I'm so honored to be on your team. Really.
Well, we're happy to be on your team. And tell us about what, you don't have to get into specifics, but when you were having your health issues, we were talking and you kind of said this makes this even more real for you.
It does, because I interviewed people with serious health issues. My health issues were just funky thyroid was going on, and super tired, lots of just not feeling myself. And so I had to go through my own book and through my own advice and implement it. And it did work. There were many times where I was standing in my backyard just going, oh, Con, please help me. But I helping myself and calling you guys and speaking to friends, reaching out to community and making a difference for myself. So it did help me connect with the people in the book, the people that I wrote the book for, and the family members, because even as a family member, your health can fall off the tracks. And then you never feel that you have the right to complain. And then the person who's not well doesn't want to complain because they don't want to make their loved one feel bad. It's a vicious circle of how are we going to get through this? And certainly not by being quiet and hushing up and not telling anyone. You know, finding a few people that you can talk to, respecting your boundaries and limits, turning your phone off when you need to, turning it back on. And all of these things that these beautiful 6 people taught me, they were just the ones that made it into the book, not the other ones that I interviewed as well. So,
that was pretty amazing. I loved the stories and what came from those stories, because they, I think of the Jim Button story and the bathtub talks, the tub talks that he had, and know that you've met him since then and shared this
coming
time.
To the party tonight.
He's coming to the party tonight. Yes, and I'm going to just do a little bit of an interview with him and talk to him a bit. So he's divine. He's such a sweet, kind, generous, loving man. He is all the things that I write about. And and he always was, apparently, before all of this. But this has just made him hyper-focused on his family, on his friends, and letting people help him, which I think is something we don't do. We don't step up. We don't. No. I don't know what that is, because it's not just women. kids have no problem saying, "Can you help me?"
Right.
Somewhere we've lost it. And hopefully through this book, people will come to an understanding that, okay, I need to step up for myself. Because people aren't going to be standing at your door saying, well, maybe when you're sick, of course, there's a difference, but in general. And just asking someone for help, they can say no, and it makes them feel better. They don't have it. But if they say yes, it makes them feel better. It feels that they're doing something to help. Like when the reason I wrote this book was because of my ex-husband when he was ill. And there were so many people in our family and friends that said, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And so I started a bit of a little chain going on. So people and friends would just drop off food. But I was very specific. I said, okay, on Tuesday you drop off a chicken, on Wednesday a beef, and then a vegetarian, and at that point no lasagna. My kids have had enough lasagna. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but
right.
and it was small meals so that they didn't have a bunch of leftovers hanging around in the fridge, which makes them feel guilty anyway. And so they were happy to help. They needed to know when, they needed to know how, and then also to know that, okay, you might not be able to visit him that day. He might not want visitors, and you have to be okay with that. Just drop it off, be happy, know that he's there, that the kids are thankful. So all of these little tricks that we can kind of hack our own thoughts and how we can get to a place of accepting help. And then being grateful for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Most people want to help. You know, it's a natural human instinct. We want to help people. But often if you know that someone's had a cancer diagnosis, like say a neighbor, someone that you're not super close with, like a family member, sometimes you ignore instead of like, I'll just leave them alone. They're dealing with that. Can you speak about that at all?
Yes, that's a big one, because we're on the peripheral of these little microcosms that are going on in the people's lives. But what I've found is to give people options. So if you have a loved one or a coworker or a friend, to say, not how can I help, but could I bring you a meal on Tuesday? Could I pick the kids up from school? Could I come over and clean your house while you're sleeping? Could I, whatever, can I get your shopping for you? Phone them, and text and say, I'm at the shopping store. Could I pick up 10 to 10 items for you?
Right.
Or instead of saying, is there something I can do? Or call me if there's something I can do. They won't call. Or they'll call and it's taken so much stress to actually be able to call. That's a big thing. But when someone sends you a message and says, I'm at Costco, can I pick some stuff up for you? It's so easy for me. And they respond or they don't. And very specific is, can I bring you a meal tonight or tomorrow night? Tuesday or Wednesday, Monday or Thursday. And that way the impetus for them to ask is off. And you've given them options. And maybe they say, no, I don't want food, but could you pick up the kids? But could you, do
any number of things?
Any number of things. It might be dry cleaning. It might be get some cash from the bank. Who knows? Could you take the kids or my husband? Could you take my husband out golfing?
Take the dogs for a walk.
Take the dogs for a walk. Yeah. Yeah. Or call my mom. She's having a bad time and she won't reach out. So yes, being specific with those offers to people. And we can do that anyway, all the time. It doesn't have to be just with a cancer. It can be, what can I do? Or just send a love note. People love notes. And put a card in their mailbox.
Yeah, any number of amazing things and sometimes I think back to one of my very first author. He wrote, I didn't know what to say. And it was a book that he had lost 2 wives to cancer. And when it was fresh for him, people didn't know what to say, so they didn't say anything. And it just crushed him. And so he decided to to write a book about things you can do and things that you can say, whether it doesn't have to be lost to cancer, just lost to anything, to have experiencing life loss. And I think for the majority of people, we don't know really what on earth we can do and what we can say, and we shy away and we don't, but he said that was the worst thing that ever happened to him, as far as how lonely it felt afterwards. And he ended up with 8 children, because his first marriage he had 4 children, and then he married a woman with 4 children, and then they both, the first one had died of cancer, then the second one died of cancer, with 8 children, and so he had 8 kids to deal with too. And he felt so incredibly lonely because people would just avoid him because they didn't know what to say. And so now his whole ministry after writing the book is he goes and speaks about this. It's really amazing. It would be a cool connection for you.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, in the book, I wrote about the Rosetto effect, which is something that happened and in the 60s. And what it was is it was based around community, that this little town in Pennsylvania with a group of Italian immigrants, no one was left alone. The older people were honored. The sick people were taken care of. Those who lost their farm or money or divorce, which there weren't a lot of those, but the community was behind them. And so it was like you always had a safety net. If you were walking into something big or say like with my book launch, with all the sort of glitches that have happened, I knew I had people on my side, that I could call and say, oh my gosh, this happened. And they'd say, calm down, it's okay, whatever. And then come up with solutions, because I couldn't think of the solutions myself. And so surrounding yourself with a community, having people that you can reach out to. And maybe it's only in that moment that you reach out to them. Because for some people, they're best during stress. They're best coming in and rescuing. They don't want to go out for coffee with you. They don't want to go to the zoo, but they want to be there when they're stressed. That feeds their fire. So yeah, it's not using those people, it's utilizing our friendships, our family. My sister drove from Vancouver yesterday, to be here.
Yay!
Awesome. Sitting in the other room, my darling sister.
Hi, sister.
Hi, sister. And the other one's coming from Edmonton. So they're shots of gold into your veins.
Yeah.
When the people you know and love, and the people that maybe you don't see, because a lot of times in a cancer, all of a sudden the people you think are going to be there disappear, and other ones show up, and you're so shocked and amazed. That's another thing, is to sort of relax those judgments around who you think should be there.
Right.
You have to look and say, oh, you're here. You're here now. You're here now. The other ones are gone. I don't know what's going on with them. It might be something too big, or they're too embarrassed.
There's so many things.
You have to get over those. And it is a bit of a judgment. And yes, it hurts. Like you said with this fellow, it hurts that people abandon you. They're not necessarily abandoning you. They're just doing all that they know.
Yeah.
And maybe you need an advocate that can stand up and say, okay, so-and-so, Becky, Natalie, someone needs this help. Yeah. Phone them up and say, can you do this? And they are jumping to say yes.
Yes, absolutely. Tell us a little bit about one of the other interviews. Just give us a little sneak peek.
Yes, Jen Gardner. She was just a light and a ray. And she was a vivacious person anyway, worked in advertising. And then when she got sick, she accepted the offer from her boyfriend for marriage. Oh. And she said to him, no, because he got down on one knee after treatment. And she says, oh, no, you can't do that. We don't know what's going to happen. I might die. I might lose my hair. This might happen. And it could be really crappy. And his answer was, I understand, but I'm not done with you yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she said, okay, how do you answer back to that? And so it was a great love story. It was a nice relationship before,
right?
And it served them and they were in love, but it became a love story when he stepped up, but she also had to accept.
That's the biggest
Yes.
thing, is you
It
have
was
to
a
accept
big
it.
thing. It
Yeah.
was that was one of the things that she talks about in the book, is learning to accept help, learning to accept love. Her chapter is called I Choose Love. It's chapter 1. And that's what she did. She chose love on so many fronts.
Right. She did. And it was an amazing chapter, you know, and
Yeah.
then her project of Jen Unplugged.
Jen
is,
Unplugged.
you know, which, you know, for most of us, we push a lot, we work a lot, and we do all kinds of things, and we don't take enough time to unplug. And she unplugged in many different ways, because that's how she was able to last, as really to survive as long as she did.
Yeah.
You know,
but more than just surviving, she
lived. She really
oh my
lived.
gosh, it was the most spectacular. When I went to her place for the interview, she wasn't having a great day, but when she started talking, like she was drinking her tea and saying, this tea tastes better, this sofa feels better. We looked outside and it was kind of a snowy day, I believe, a cold day, and she was just lounging over and just saying, my day is better because I've let you come in. And at that point we hadn't met. And I mean, I fell in love with her. She's so easy to fall in love with. That was who she was. Unfortunately, she passed away. But she planted this seed of hope and joy and love and generosity, kindness, forgiveness. Mm-hmm. And it continues to blossom.
Everywhere she went.
Everywhere she went. Yeah, there'll be more people. Some of her friends are coming tonight as well. So that's a real testament to her.
Wonderful.
Well, the entire book was incredible, awesome. Is incredible and awesome. And, you know, for those that are listening, we hope you'll pick up a copy of this, because it's not about just having cancer. It's about life, and it's about mindset of life. And it's something that it's available on Amazon. The print book is available. The Kindle is available for the bestseller launch today as 99 cents. Hope you'll take advantage of it. And all of us know situations, people, times that we really, really, truly need to stop and analyze and take a look at what we're doing with our lives, and also how we're caring for ourselves and those around us. Mm-hmm. And it couldn't have been more eloquently written than this book. And so congratulations, you did it.
We did it together. There's so many people behind that. I mean, you hear that at the Oscar Awards, people saying there's so many people. That's what I feel like. This is my Oscar. And the two of you, I just can't thank you enough.
Thank you.
It's been what I was calling this morning is a grateful labor of love. Because it has been. I didn't necessarily choose to write this book. It chose me. And so I finally...
And you listened.
I listened. It took a lot. It took a lot, Becky. It was sort of needling at me from all angles. And I was thinking, well, why? I'm not a cancer survivor. I don't understand. This doesn't make sense to me. And so sometimes we just have to listen to those cues that we get from the universe, and hope. And my hope is that this lands in the right hands, that this lands wherever it's supposed to be. I was in ego on Sunday when things were going wrong. And I was thinking, oh, it's not going to be a bestseller, and oh, it's not going to work, and oh, what of all these things. And as soon as I called my coach, Bonnie Earl, and said, like, what's going on? I need help me with this, help me to settle into this. And so we did our little woo-woo things that we do. And I realized, oh, I'm not where I'm supposed to be with this book. That I was thinking about selling it and doing what you're supposed to do with books. This isn't that type of book.
The books are a long-range effort, and it's not all just about a bestseller launch.
No.
Because this book needs to serve for years to come.
Yes, that's what it is. It's something that's here to serve. Yeah. And it's not about me. It's not about you guys. It's not about anyone except the whole of who needs to hear it. Yeah. And I feel such gratitude that it was given to me.
Well, we are too. Thank you.
Very happy, and we can't wait to see all the pictures and videos from tonight. We'll post those up and share them out if you will allow us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
And just enjoy every moment of this day and the days to come, and know that you listened, and that's why it came to be. So thank you.
All right.
Awesome.
Impacted by the stories of others.
Let's talk about the C word. How cancer gave more than it took. And if, the funny thing is it's such such an interesting title. I mean, it came to me, and I was telling my granddaughter, who's 6, last night. And so I said, look at Nona's book, and she's going to help me. And I said, my picture's on the back. And she said, how do you do that? How do you get that? And then she said, well, what's it about? What's it called? She's just learning to read. And I told her what it was about. And she sort of scooted off away from her mom. And then she called out and she said, Nona, that's what she calls me. She says, that's a really nice thing to write about.
Oh,
yeah. Mm-hmm. And so even she understands that this is not a sad book.
Right.
It's a happy
No, it
book.
isn't. It's an amazing the way you did this book.
Things happened in this book that maybe people wouldn't have chosen. The reason I wrote the book was because my ex-husband, when we were having a conversation, he said, cancer gave more than it took. Mm-hmm. I mean, how do you say that when you know? How do you get to that point when you know that you won't be around to do all the things that you always hoped for? And the 6-year-old got it.
Awesome.
She said, that's cool. I mean, at first she wanted her picture on the back of the book.
Why would you put your picture and not hers, right?
What's that all about? Yeah.
It's about me.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, enjoy your day, enjoy your party tonight, and maybe in a couple days, let's do a recap and you can talk about everything. That'd be great.
Thank you. We'll be going down the bestseller list. We know that.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good rest of your day.
I will. Thanks. You guys too. Bye-bye.